I'm Jason from Smoking and Drinking in Space, a sci-fi podcast from a couple guys who think they know sci-fi.
And I'm Rob from Smoking and Drinking in Capes, a superhero podcast from a couple guys who wish they had powers.
And we're part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now.
Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others.
And you can find other cool, awesome, geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Capes on the Couch podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Dr. Issues is a psychiatrist, but he is not your psychiatrist and does not have knowledge of your individual situation. For any personal mental health concerns, please consult your own healthcare providers. For medical emergencies, please call 911 or the designated number in your area immediately. Remember that you are not alone and help is out there.
Hello and welcome to Capes on the Couch, where comics get counseling. I'm Anthony Sitko.
And I'm Dr. Sexy Legs. I'm Dr. Issues.
Whoa, okay.
That is such an inside within an inside joke, but we were just talking about that. And yes, I am going to be vague and cryptic, and you guys are never going to know what that means.
Yeah, and it dies with Will and myself. So,
yes, in the desert of Vegas.
Yeah. And all the other people on the cruise.
Yep. There you go. People can put two and two together. That's that. That's actually the whole story.
So we are still officially on hiatus, but we're breaking rank as we have done previously for our good friends Alan and Will, who once again have a Kickstarter that manages to line up with when we're supposed to be on break, because these guys don't stop making comics.
I wish we did. I wish we did.
No, you don't. Don't lie.
Yeah, it's fun.
You love it. We love it too. So welcome back to the show once again. Alan Dunford, Will Radford. Pleasure again, as always, to see you boys.
Yes, we are so happy to be here. You know, we have a campaign running, and I think it's unspoken at this point now between Will and myself, but we always try to make it on. So
Yeah. We love this show.
Yep.
Yeah. I think this is 7th appearance now.
It's a lot
for y'all. So you literally have a separate category now on our site. Like if under the episode categories, there's like creators on the couch, and then within that is Alan and Will. And even the hand, like 1 or 2 episodes where it was just Alan because Will has to go be boring and work.
Yeah.
Or get my legs broken in misery. God, that was a year ago, by the way. I just realized that today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy, man.
Crazy.
Wow. Okay. All right. As Alan takes sips from his giant moonshine jug there.
Yeah, it's my chugging mug. Trying to stay hydrated. So for all you guys listening, keep your legs sexy and keep your body hydrated.
See, Alan is a health nut, and then I like to just completely destroy myself. So we keep each other balanced. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I'm the yin to his yang.
Right.
I was gonna say, because Anthony and I are kind of we're definitely in that middle ground. Like there will be runs of me like working out like 20 days straight, you know, full routine, all of that. And then the next thing I know, I'm eating like a family-sized bag of Doritos in one sitting.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like Alan and I, we keep each other balanced, but at the same time, we influence each other. So he can be like, hey, Will, maybe you need to, you know, stop eating so many Doritos and get to the gym, you know? And then I can be like, hey, Alan, maybe you should, you know, relax.
Go to hell. You should go to hell.
Maybe you should
hell. Yeah. That's too relaxing. You know, I'm referring to like, you know, like relax by the pool or something.
Well, see, and even Doc and I balance each other out because he's a nacho cheese man. I'm a Cool Ranch guy. So,
oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sure Alan and I have some crazy opposite, you know, compare and contrasts like that. Although I'm not sure what that would be.
We'll figure it
right off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I do enjoy nacho cheese, just to be clear. But
yeah, and I do enjoy Cool Ranch. It's just I made sure I made the better choice as my favorite.
Listen, when one of us is done eating the Doritos, we don't have to worry about our hands staining everything. And that would be me, because my fingers don't turn orange.
Wait, are you implying that you don't care about the fact that you're staining things? Because it's not as if the powder doesn't exist.
No, but I'm saying it's a lot cleaner and less. You don't see the
wait
powder.
a minute. Wait. How are you defining cleaner? It's still like, you know, it's still Cool Ranch powder.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near as visible.
All right.
And when I wipe it off, my fingers aren't still orange. You could wash your hands and your fingers are still orange.
That Doesn't bother me one bit. All right, we are really. This is a record.
All
I
right,
think,
if you want to look like you jacked off an Oompa Loompa after eating snacks, then by all means be my guest. But
what is that? Are you serious in terms of how you organize your time?
There's an image.
All right, so
Capes on the couch. Here we go.
for anybody that has never listened to an episode of this show, I'm pretty sure they're saying, "Wow, these guys really don't do much of anything, do they?"
And for anybody who's ever listened to an episode with Alan and Will, they're going, even for an Alan and Will episode, this is starting off.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say it's only because we're here. Like Alan and I are here. That's why. Yeah.
This is true. This is true. Only the A&W root beer episodes start off like this. So as always, I always like to say, for the handful of people, and if they haven't turned off already, for anybody who hasn't listened to the first 6 times, you beautiful gents have graced our airwaves. Why don't you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about who you are and why we keep bringing you back on despite our best efforts and legal actions.
Hey, my name's Alan Dunford, and I am a comic book writer. And I've been behind such projects as Grandma Chainsaw, Hocus Hocus, and Horus and Hell. And I'm sure Will's introduction is going to be probably eerily similar. So, Will, do you want to take it from here?
Sure. I am Will Radford, and I am the co-writer and co-creator behind such projects as Hocus Hocus, Grandma Chainsaw, and Horus and Hell. And very happy to be here. I always love talking to you guys. So,
and right back at you. So we're here to talk ostensibly about the Horus and Hell. Officially, it's just the Kickstarter that is active right now. But first off, just want to give a quick congratulations officially to Alan, who's recently a married man. So
yes, I'm a kept woman now. Yeah.
You can hear the chains clinking in the background. That's
yep.
He's now chained to the radiator.
Yeah.
It used to be for fun. Now it's legal though.
I don't know, man, but you should. The way I view it.
A whole new world.
Yes. No, but hey, thank you guys so much. Yeah, we just got back from Florida, and it was a trip. But it was great nonetheless.
Literally a trip, well, literally and figuratively. We heard about the horrors before we got rolling. So we're here talking about the Kickstarter for Horus and Hell, and for those of you who have backed previous Kickstarters, you had an opportunity to perhaps receive, depending on your patronage level, or perhaps you bought it as an add-on, an ashcan copy of Horus and Hell. And that was, I want to say, what was that, 12, 14 pages? Something like that?
It felt like it, but it was actually only 8.
Only 8? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that just goes to show you again how much good stuff you're able to pack in there. But this is a full-size comic book, correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah, this one is 24 pages. And it's funny, though, because I don't think I mentioned this to you, but I don't know if you remember Anthony talking about it forever ago, because the Horse and Hell Ashcan, we never planned on doing anything with it past that. Like, we talked about like maybe one day, but then I think Will and I just kind of decided, hey, let's go and just do this thing. Let's just finish it. Because Kit Wallace was wanting to start doing more stuff with it because he liked the character so much. But Anthony, I don't know if you remember, you told us this because you read the ashcan and you said this thing's a perfect length for what an ashcan should be. It left me wanting more, but it also left me feeling fulfilled. So then I was getting afraid. I was like, oh no, what if this sucks now and it's too much of a good thing?
Well, having now read a majority of the pages from the full version, I can tell you I'm not disappointed at all.
Awesome.
I thoroughly enjoyed the expansion. I like how it very much continued on from where the ashcan was. And it just seems like a natural, organic progression of the story. It wasn't like, oh, it should have ended here, but it dragged on.
Right.
Like the ending to Return of the King or whatever, where you're like, just kill it already. I'm here for 3. Why are they jumping on the bed now? This is ridiculous. I don't understand. This is perfect. Again, I really do enjoy just the world building that has been set up, and it's funny to really give a little bit more depth to Horus and the character. We've seen him throughout the various issues of Hocus Hocus, but what led to telling this particular story for Horus in his own kind of spin-off title?
Will, do you want to take this one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So first and foremost, I have to give Alan quite a bit of credit here because when we when we first started and we introduced Horus, this cute little bunny rabbit, I guess I was in the camp of saying like less is more. Let's use him very sparingly, so sparingly that to the point where readers and fans would pinpoint him throughout the comic. And Alan had this awareness, this realization that no, there's a little bit more here to this character. So he started talking to me about some of these ideas and gradually won me over with it. And then it really ballooned into this thing where it's like, well, the fans really love this character that we've created, Horus. And the more we think about him, the more we love him also. And we wanted to do something. We wanted to give him his own little corner of the world. And once we decided to do that, it seemed like people were really receptive to it. So we said, hey, why don't we do a series?
Yeah. It's funny too, because, we talked about this and obviously we'll talk about it later whenever we get into our Grandma Chainsaw discussion. But Horus was one of the characters that we spent the least amount of time on. And it's just funny how it works out that way, because as of right now, this is pacing to be by far our biggest campaign that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And that is in terms of backer support and monetarily.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's wild because we didn't know how well this thing was going to do and how well it was going to be received, because that was something we talked about early. Was we always try to cater to fans new and old, no matter what the campaign is. If it's Pocus Hocus number 5, we want to make sure that if anyone's new, they don't feel intimidated coming into the book.
Yeah.
If it's Grandma Chainsaw number 2, they don't feel intimidated coming into it. Now, we have this new series, Horus in Hell, but it's a spinoff series at its core. But we tried to set it up to where you don't need to read Pocus Hocus. Yeah, it will add more to it, definitely, because you'll see little Easter eggs and little nuances and stuff that we mentioned. But for the most part, we set it up, and Will is so good at this, but we set it up to where, we have this drunk magician who inexplicably has these powers that somehow pulled a rabbit out of hell from his hat. And now he's drunk after a show one night and he wants to do it again, but do it bigger. And then he passes out before he can close the portal back to hell. So that sets up the story for the whole Horus in Hell arc.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, we have these ideas and it's like, okay, well, we don't want to do it in such a way where, we want to respect and pay tribute to the fans. But it was like this particular character. It's like once we introduced him and once we started talking a little bit more about his backstory. And by the way, I'm sorry if you guys hear any noise in the background. I have a new kitten and she's like all over the place. But,
it's me. I'm actually in the other room, just running around.
Yeah. Right. Once we started discussing it and talking about it a little bit, we realized it's like, oh, hey, there's something to this because we have all these ideas for it. And also the fans, really like it. So really, we saw no reason not to do it. And it was one of those things where it's like the more we talked about it and when we sat down to write, the more we came up with, the more it just kept flowing, So yeah, it was just kind of a natural, extension of really everything.
The way I can describe how you guys world build for anybody that gets into stories the way I like to is if you were to walk into a room and you see people talking, you may not know how to introduce yourselves, but you say, hey, I want to know more and just tell me about yourself. So far, be it Grandma Chainsaw, be it Pocus Hocus, be it Horus, your characters do that. And they do it.
Thank you.
Really naturally, and that just makes it easy to, as you said, have new people come in and not feel intimidated, and have people that know these characters, which including this Horus comic, just really quickly know, okay, this is who I'm dealing with. You mentioned drunk magician. It's like, okay, well, maybe I don't know how he got his powers, but I'm going to find out because that's interesting enough in and of itself. But then you have this crusading rabbit that clearly knows what they're doing, and now they're taken out of that, and let's see how that goes. So yeah,
Right.
it's just a nice mix of both sides saying like something is just way off with everybody here, except for one character. I'm not gonna automatically say who, but something seems so off with everybody that how on earth does this all work out?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's well, I mean, and thank you for mentioning that, because I feel like that's something that's kind of that's always been underneath the surface ever since we started working on this kind of stuff, is this idea of we're really interested in characters, and we're really interested in like those arcs and those progressions and things like that. And at the end of the day, characters what drives the story. So we've tried to keep focused on that.
And we always try to be forward thinking too with our characters. Like of course, there's some characters that we introduce that we already know is just going to be a one-off character. But the characters that we know that we want to keep around, even if they're only mentioned briefly, we still are forward thinking enough to where we say, okay, so they will come back later in this issue, and that's what we talked about with Horus and Hell. So you guys got a chance to see you guys got a chance to see the whole book. We still have, I think, the last like 5 pages to letter, but Kid has already done all the artwork for it. And we get to introduce a really fun character that we are so excited to build on in the next issue. But one thing that Will and I talked about early on, whenever we were writing the Horus and Hell story, it was a what if scenario. So we actually had 2 stories in mind. The first story was, what if we release this campaign and it falls straight on its face? We always wanted to treat our fans as a priority first and foremost. So if this thing just struggled to get to the finish line, okay, we can set this thing up for 2 issues and we're done. So we can at least tell a story. It's comprehensive, it's together, and those who are reading it will really love it and enjoy it. And that's it, right? And then the other story that we talked about was, okay, so we have a 2-issue story. Now, what if this thing does well and we're able to make more? Then how do we tell this story and stretch it out to where it doesn't feel like it's being stretched out? And we sat down and we figured out what our MacGuffin's going to be. We figured out who our characters are going to be, what we're going to introduce, and how we're going to make this story flow more organically than flowing like a very fast-paced episode of a cartoon.
Yeah.
And luckily the latter happened. And like we said earlier, this thing's been very well received already on Kickstarter. We still have 10 days to go. And this thing is doing way better, I think, than what Will and I expected.
Yeah.
This is our biggest campaign as of right now was Pocus Hocus number 4, because we introduced the trade paperback. And when you're doing crowdfunding, there's certain buzzwords and certain things that will naturally move the needle further in your favor. If you mention words like finale, trade paperback, things like that, then people are more inclined like, oh, okay, cool. This is the end. I'll jump on now because it's the end of the story or end of the arc, however you want to look at it. And this is outpacing Pocus Hocus 4 to a crazy degree.
And I'd just like to say something really really quick also too, about writing comics and just the comic book structure, all of that. That's so great that you don't really find in a lot of other mediums when you're writing, is that you have this opportunity to structure this idea in such a way where you have it and you can show it to people and you can say, okay, guys, this can be a one-off or 2 or 3 or whatever, limited, or it can go on and on and on as a series. And I love the concept. I love the idea of like long form storytelling,
right?
Whether it's a series or a movie as opposed to like a short film or whatever. And I'm actually very envious of it with Alan, because he does much better with it than I do, which is coming up with these ideas, concepts, even structures. Like maybe we both have an idea and then he's got the structure for it, where we can kind of not leave it open-ended, but introduce all these potential possibilities.
Yeah,
that's something that as a writer I think is a major skill.
100%.
Yeah, it's one thing to know how everything falls into place and know how like all these things are calculated into into motion, and something else entirely to look at all these different potential avenues in your head and select them based on on that idea. So
It's funny though, because Will, I think we're kind of seeing the same trajectory for Horus that we saw. Granted, it's happening a little bit faster, but we're seeing the same trajectory that we saw with Horus with Pocus Hocus. We only intended the Pocus Hocus series to only be like 4 issues, and then it, like I said, the reception was just there, and then we were able to tell the story that Will and I already set out initially. Because again, Will already had it set up to where it was going to end on issue 4, and we had what we thought was a good concrete ending, and this was it. It ends here. We have the demon do this, stuff like that. But now we were able to really just and the story that he and I have already set down and mapped out for the second arc for issues 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's, man, I'm excited, and I don't know how Brian's going to do it, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I'm excited too about like the thing you want, like as an artist or creator or anything, is to have room to keep on tweaking and keep changing. A lot of people would say even after it's done, they wish they could go and keep working on it, that kind of thing. And I just really feel like with comics in the serial format, you have that opportunity. And additionally, I'm working with somebody who understands how to do that. And that's something. Like, I don't have that kind of brain, and Alan does. So that's very helpful also to be like, okay, well, here's our story, and it stands alone, and that's fine. However, we can continue doing more things with it, and we can go in all these different directions and avenues. That's all him. So props, Alan.
Yay! Thanks, Will.
So one of the things you mentioned is, that this is actually your first book that Kit is doing all the interiors. Kit had previously just done covers for Pocus, and Kit had only really done just the covers, and it was Brian who done the interiors. What was it like working with Kit for an entire book of interiors this time? And was there any, I guess, shift in the way you wrote or the way you were telling the story to kind of play to Kit's strengths as an artist?
So, Will, we both know this. When we're writing the script, it's cool because we lucked out twice. And what I mean by that is, obviously, we lucked out with Brian and how just creative he is and how independent he works. And we lucked out with Kit because Kit is just his own beast, right? Yeah. So in the scripts, it takes a lot of pressure off of us. Now, it's going to sound like it's a cop-out, and like we're taking the easy avenue out, but we've always believed in day one giving your writers freedom. Make sure they're happy and they're able to express themselves, and we don't just sit down and tell them, no, this is what you're drawing, right? So with Kit, we did the same thing. We would literally just write a page, and if we thought we wanted it to be a fun, cool action sequence, all we wrote on there was, Kit, have fun, go nuts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish I could say that this is because I'm such a, kind-hearted person or whatever. That sounds awful. But like, I tell people a lot of times, like, I'm very collaborative. And I wish I could say that that's because, oh yes, I want everyone's voice into this project. But a lot of times it's just because, like, I need that objective, point of view and that perspective, and Alan and Kit provide that. I just wanted to say just to tack on to what Alan was mentioning, but also there's a difference in terms of each artist. Like, stylistically, with Brian, he has this ability to do illustration in such a way that, like, when I see it, it's like it awakens a sense of like dread or devastation. Like, he's a great horror artist, and then you have Kit, who is very, very detail oriented. Not that Brian's not. But the thing,
they're both two opposites of the spectrum.
They're opposite, but Kit's charm is kind of that he'll throw in these different little things and like small details. So I mean, when we wrote the script, it was a case of like we were just writing it based on what we thought was the best scenario for the characters. But going forward, definitely, like, I mean, we're mindful of those two different styles.
Yeah, understood.
Oh, it's all right. We had to have Anthony drop off. It's totally fine.
He's here. Yeah.
He's here in spirit.
It's all good. Well, one question that I had anyway, that you had hinted at the fact that this pretty much took off way more than you ever imagined with Horus. But this is very much a speculative question, and you don't have to have an answer for it. Are there any other characters that you could see doing a spin-off like this?
Yeah, honestly, like I think Emily is
Oh, you fell for the bait. Oh, come on. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think Emily would be such a good and fun character that we could do this with. And I also think it's crazy. Like a lot of the Pocus characters, just because of the universe that it is, would be awesome. Now, I'd like to try to wait for Anthony to get back, but there's a couple characters from Grandma Chainsaw. I think a Dead Squad spinoff series. That is something that we've actually talked about doing with them, just because those characters are so absolutely awful that I think they need their own comic.
Outside of any other context, that doesn't sound appealing, but knowing what we know, that is absolutely wonderful. And just to go back, because I don't know if Will heard the question, it was just
Dead Squad.
Yeah. I was just asking if there were any potential spinoffs, and
so many.
Dead Squad's an easy one, right?
Yeah, that's an easy. We've talked about some other ones too, but I won't divulge those just yet because we're not sure. We're still brainstorming, but yeah, that's one of the great things about both of these franchises. I think is that they lend themselves really well to spinoffs, sister projects, that kind of thing. And we did not set out to do that. And again, maybe it's my whole, I don't know, my whole personal philosophy or whatever on art, film, lit, whatever. But I really do think that's because of the characters. Like, I think that in developing the characters as much as we have, it's allowed us to branch off in all these different directions.
Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
definitely it comes through easily. And, I say easily as the reader. I mean, for you guys, I know it's a lot of work. So that's much appreciated.
It's wild because I think once you find that one person that you really do just gel and mesh with, it makes the writing process just so much more fun and enjoyable, and it doesn't feel like a writing process.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with me and Alan is that, we've been friends for, forever, right?
Yeah.
And it never really occurred to us to try and write something together. And I've tried with, I think I've said this before too on the show. I've tried with, friends and colleagues and that kind of thing to actually sit down and write something, and it's failed. It's not worked. There's been no flow, and the ideas, it's all moved very slowly. And it's like Alan and I are together in a room for 5 minutes, and
we have an issue of something already.
we at least 2 pages of dialogue.
Yeah.
That's just, I really don't even know. I don't know. That's really interesting to me. It just goes to show you kind of can't really choose the people that you have that kind of chemistry with.
Yeah, and I have a feeling Anthony's going to cut this part out. I don't know, or he might include it for our fans, but random facts. So Anthony and I, when we first started talking about this entire concept, it was not a podcast. It was a book. The idea was that me, myself as a psychiatrist with the professional background and everything, so some sort of expertise, could write obviously not the DSM. That's a much different beast. But the whole point was, well, rather than talking about real people, if we use characters and then we talk about different diagnoses, or at least categories of diagnoses, people can relate to them more. It destigmatizes, et cetera, et cetera. And my exact, I'll clean up the words a little bit, but I was like, there is no way. I don't do much. I said, there's no way I am writing a whole book and getting it out anytime soon, so you can forget that mess.
Yeah.
But I love listening to podcasts. So the irony of it is, with the skits that we write for each episode, which are usually anywhere between 1 and 3 pages, and I am doing a heavy amount of the writing, in hindsight, with the number of episodes that we've done, each with skits that are written out, would have had a few books over, like full-size book. I'm like, yeah, man. And he said that to me maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago. It blew my mind. I said, oh my. You're absolutely
Just
correct.
think about it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Alan. We started working on this thing, and we didn't have like a page count or anything like that. I think that this really goes to show that if you're a writer, it's good to kind of keep this in the back of your mind. But like, don't write based on a page count or based on a quantity
Right.
idea. Write based on what you have in your head, like what it needs to be. Because like this started out as a thing where it's like, let's write a comic book. Let's make a comic book or two.
Right.
Two was like, getting ahead of ourselves. And it just, spiraled from there. So, I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. You guys are quite prolific now. And the idea that you're creating these universes, that always fascinates me, because as a fan, it allows us to just let our minds wander a bit. And you guys give plenty of fodder with that. I gotta jump in because, okay, I will admit something, and I don't know how Anthony feels about this. I'm gonna surprise him when he comes back and just ask him. I definitely was big on Pocus, and obviously stoked for Horus. I heard the Grandma Chainsaw thing, and like I said, I love horror. I wasn't sure I was going to jump on board with that. I'm not gonna lie.
That's okay.
Boy, oh boy, did that. I was wrong. You guys pulled me in. I'm interested to see how Anthony feels about that, because horror is much more my bailiwick than his. So the fact that I had such high expectations that you guys matched it is cool. I still remember my arrogance when you guys announced it the first time, and I saw the first few pages, and I'm like, okay, this seems like everything else.
Yeah.
And I know.
Well, yeah, I mean, like,
we get it. We understand.
Oh no, I 100% understand.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a way to explain this in such a way where it makes sense that you enjoyed Grandma Chainsaw, and I really I really do think that the bottom line is that, like, we approach these comics from a place of sincerity. We weren't trying to think of ways where it's like, oh, how can we have like the most exciting or creative kill that's going to like bring in all this money and people are going to, no, we were just thinking about like things in horror movies in the past that we loved, and ideas that we had as it pertains to like, the culture around us and things like that. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, first and foremost, thank you. I'm glad you liked Grandma Chainsaw. Yeah. If horror is not your thing, I tell people that that's my baby, because I've always wanted to do a slasher thing, and that's it. And I can't think of a better one than that to make. So, but yeah,
so I guess we can go ahead and get into it, right?
Sure.
Everyone, go back. Horus in Hell. It's going to be your new standard for average for what you think a Saturday morning cartoon should be.
It's kind of like Invader Zim. All that was accomplished.
Yeah, just not as good.
All right, fair enough.
Make a kick-ass Saturday morning cartoon, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would.
Yes.
You have
God, that'd be fantastic. Yeah. The Doc, did you have a chance to see the trailer that we had for it?
I personally did not. I wish I had, though.
Yeah, it's on there. It's on our Kickstarter campaign. So if you ever get a chance to look at it, the trailer that's attached to it, it was made by the same guy that's done all of our other trailers. And yeah, it's so good. And he's actually working on a full length animated series for Horus in Hell. Yeah,
it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be wild.
Oh, I'm more excited than I thought I could be. Oh, that made my night. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, for those of you listening, we talked about Pocus and Horus, but now we'll briefly go and talk about this. We also have another book called Grandma Chainsaw, and you'll never guess what it's about. So this is mine and Will's love letter to the slashers, horror comedy series, things like that. Evil Dead. Will, what else? Just pretty much everything, right?
Exorcist 3, right?
Yes.
No, I've been toting that for a while. It's kind of a joke. There is an Exorcist 3 reference. There is. But I won't go into that. Yeah, no, it's Evil Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, A Mother's Day, the old horror film with the late 70s, early 80s. I can't remember any of the actors, of course. But yeah, it's referencing a lot of that stuff, and it's really fun. It's very self-aware. We had fun with the genre and the premise. And then at the end of the first issue, we introduced some things that people don't expect. And then second issue, we really just take it to full blown, 80s horror.
Yeah.
Central. Yeah.
I was going to say, that pulled me in. I'm just thinking at that age when I got introduced to all of this and thinking to myself, wow, I wasn't aware the world could produce this type of stuff. And that's the same feeling. It really is a nostalgia thing for me, but for people that aren't as familiar with what horror can be, I feel like this would be a great primer, a great introduction to someone that doesn't exactly know what it's supposed to do. Because when you hear Grandma Chainsaw, which by the way, yes, that is an very accurate title.
Best title in the world. It's actually might be my favorite title of all time. And this is coming from Alan. We've had conversations about this. Coming from someone who has told you how much I love the title Drag Me to Hell, the Sam Raimi movie, because it gives you exactly what it tells you it's going to give you. This is, same thing with Grandma Chainsaw.
Yeah, for sure. And just even leading up to what happens in the second one, I mean, just I don't know what you want to call it, the prep work, like literally on both sides, you have, person just saying, I'm kind of expecting some fun things to happen. And everybody else is more like, how are we going to survive this? Just differences in overall mood. I love that. Just that mix of everything. But I do have to ask. There are a couple of parts where I love it. And here's the thing: I have a young daughter, and this is, by the way, I'm not disturbing her at all. I mean, one of her favorite T-shirts is like a black magic rabbit that has like its heart ripped out. She chose it, not me. So nice. I don't have any. I'm not saying I'm disturbing her. But there were a few parts where she's like, oh, wow, that's interesting. I'm cleaning up the language here. But when it comes to that, I know you already said you make sure the artists have kind of free reign, but was there any direction specific to some of the scenes that we see? Were these like things that you really had thought out well in advance, or how'd you approach that?
Man, I don't even know how to answer that. Because like
I do, but
okay, so here's my answer for it. Whenever we were writing this thing, it just felt so natural that we never really my opinion, we never really thought about it whenever we were doing this thing. And we had some gag stuff that we made pretty early on. We're like, this would be kind of funny if we did this or whatever, and then we haven't used any of them yet. from that list. But yeah, so Will, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, I get what you're saying. That's something that we were aware of. It was a situation where, like, I assume, like, you mean the violence and that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, there's one particularly gory instance in the first Grandma Chainsaw, which
we go ahead and just spoilers. We go ahead and say so we can talk about spoilers. So we can talk about issue 1 and 2 freely now. So if you guys don't want to be spoiled, just leave now. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll
that's why I was next episode. Yeah, that's why I was being vague. Okay, because I didn't want to destroy it, but when you got somebody splayed out and words written and stuff, like that's common,
spoilers. All right, go.
Spoiler alert, right? Well, I mean, that was something that we, to answer your question, I mean, it wasn't really something like Alan and I sat around and thought of the most interesting ways to like torture or hurt people or anything like that. But a lot of it was just honestly taken from other movies, to be completely honest with you, or comics or whatever. And, you combine that with the fact that both of us have a pretty dark sense of humor and that's kind of what you get. However, I do want to give some credit to Brian for that particular kill because he had the idea, and I'm not blaming him. Actually, quite the opposite. He told us the idea, and we were like, "Yes."
Yeah, because we knew what we wanted. We knew we wanted her to have written in blood, elbows off the table on the wall. Yeah, and then we said, Brian, like we don't know. We had a couple different ideas. We had one idea. I think we called it the antler kill, where we used like her elbows were like shoved in her head, and then made it look like antlers and stuff like that.
I get it.
And we were like, I don't know if that's good enough. We're like, Brian, what do you have? And then he sent back this message, and I was just like, Jesus Christ.
Well, but I do want to make something clear though, because I mean I think this illustrates like a really cool point that you guys might be interested in your podcast, because a lot of times you have these horror stories, horror movies, horror comics, whatever, who get a reputation for being, maybe having a particular distaste for people, misanthropic, that kind of thing. When really the idea behind the kills and some of the more gory stuff comes just from like not common sense, but from these ideas that are pieced together based on what the characters have experienced, in the past or earlier. So you have this situation where like, Haley in the elbows, but you have elbows off the table, referencing earlier when, Grandma Hazel told her that. So that to me, when you have that kind of dynamic, it kind of becomes satire or satirical.
Yes. So then that's the perfect segue because, well, one, Anthony's back. Glad to have you.
Sorry about that. My daughter's finally asleep. Well, knock wood. We'll put it that
totally
way.
fine. So we're actually about to get into Grandma Chainsaw 2 because, we introduced and this is, I think, when we hopefully won Doc over, when we introduced the Dead Squad.
That's right. That is the reason you won me over.
Yeah. So we introduced the Dead Squad. And again, full credit to Will, because his idea was what if we introduce monster hunters? And I was like, that's perfect. I want to kiss your brain right now. Incredible. And then we decided to go and take it a step further because the idea was originally it's going to be like a bunch of like Appalachian monster hunters.
Right.
And we were like, okay, that's cool. Let's do it that way. But then we thought about it. It was like, well, that's been done so many times. What if we do it this way? And then it was like a spark just went off and the characters all just wrote themselves.
Once Alan mentioned that idea with the Dead Squad and having them be these personality types, what he essentially did was he took this idea that I was keeping like in the realm of like slasher movie, whatever, and elevated it to satire. And I'm a sucker for that. So, when he said that, and he said, "Man, what if they're like, people who go to the pawn shops and stuff like that?" I mean, like, I 100% on board.
Yeah,
that's
so then that's where issue 1 ended. So now, Anthony, now that you're back, and like I said, you came back perfect timing. Anthony, Doc, what did you guys think of Grandma Chainsaw number 2? Because you guys are some of the first people that got a chance to read it.
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yep.
Yes. Much appreciated.
It was so wonderful.
You can go full spoilers. We've already given out the warning. If you don't want to be spoiled on anything, leave now. Forever hold your peace.
Yeah. Yeah. So what? Actually, Andy, I was gonna ask you this question when you came back anyway, because I was all in on Pocus. I was all in on Horus, and Grandma Chainsaw. I was meh. I made that clear. I was very honest about it, and then they won me over. But I didn't know what your thoughts were on it in terms of which you were more interested in, or
Well, because as we've kind of explained previously, horror is not entirely my bag, but this deftly weaves that line between the horror and the comedy so well that it works for me. It scratches just the right itch for me personally, where I'm willing to deal with the gore, because it's not the gore that necessarily bothers me about horror. It's just I can't quite put my finger on it. It's just never been a genre that I've been particularly enamored with. But you throw comedy into anything and I'm there. So this works really well because of that mixture, whatever that, sugar and spice and chemical X that, you mixed in, you two beautiful Professor Utoniums. That we'll see how many folks get that reference. That
come on, that's common enough.
I understand, but listen, I don't know how old our audience is, and how we may have young listeners who don't know the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, anyway. But I'll put it this way: if they don't know those references, then there are so many references that are going to fall like completely to the wayside with this. Are you kidding me?
Fair. But anyway, it scratches that itch for me in a way that I just really appreciate it. And I love the playing of the tropes and the, the guy who's like, hey, I'm going to bang my girlfriend in the middle of this. Like, let's split up so I can go have sex.
Yeah, that was so. I love that. Whenever we did that,
never works out for you. But thinking with your dick rarely does.
Don't do it. Just don't do it.
So that. Oh, go ahead, Will.
No. Go ahead.
No. You've been trying to say something for a second. Go ahead. I'm about to go off on a whole tangent.
No, it's fine. Well, I actually have to go. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
But I do want to say this really quick about something that you just mentioned. Horror and comedy, I figured, and I think it was Stuart Gordon who taught this to me. I can't remember, are so closely related, right? And so it's just a natural extension of the horror genre that you have comedy, be a part of that. Because, it's kind of like comedy and tragedy. You think one man's tragedy is another person's comedy, et cetera, et cetera. So, no, I mean, I think that's it. It's just striking to me that you would mention that dynamic.
A tragedy plus time equals comedy. So,
right. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
And
right. But Will, you need to go ahead and skedaddle.
I do.
So, okay, I'll let you go and skedaddle.
All right. Well, thanks, Will. It was great chatting with you. Sorry, I missed most of or at least,
No, you're totally fine.
Don't worry. Horus conversation.
Don't worry.
Be talking to you soon. I love talking with you guys. So anytime you want to chat, just let us know. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll try to do us good. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, Al.
All right. So yeah.
All right. Now that he's gone, we can talk about it.
Oh, thank God. Yeah. Everything was my idea. I don't know who the hell he thinks he is. So again, Grandma 2 was something that we wanted to make sure we got Grandma 1 out of the way. And I know that may sound terrible or like we didn't care about Grandma 1, but it's always issue 1s are hard because you have to set up so much and still try to somehow keep everyone's interest, right? So with Grandma 2, no pun intended, we were able to cut loose and really go ahead and do everything that we felt like we needed to do with the issue. And we were so happy with the results. And, we were able to make fun of ourselves. Like the scene where the couple dies, that is Shadow Axe and Night Moon. They're about to start having sex and she's like, well, do me. And he's like, where? And she's like, on the desk. He's like, actually, it's a Davenport. And she was like, well, how did you even know that? Yep. Yeah. And he's like, well, babe, I was raised with my grandparents. You know this. That was a joke about me because I was raised with my grandparents. And I've known I grew up with like a Singer sewing kit, things like that. Like I know all this, I grew up watching the Game Show Network.
Dude, I can relate to that. I mean, my mom had a fold up Singer, sewing desk. I mean, it was classic. She sewed my pajamas for the first 3 years of my life. I mean, it's
it's just
my mom still has the Singer sewing machine that I remember seeing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I absolutely get it. And I do remember when I was talking to you before for something, you mentioned that there was a joke in there in Grandma 2 that you took at yourself. And when I read the line about, I was raised with my grandparents, I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. I picked up on it immediately.
That's just fun because you need to make fun of yourself, obviously. You don't take yourself too serious.
Absolutely.
So this was one of those where, again, we just had fun doing it. And, Will is a huge video drone fan. And we wanted a head explosion scene in it. And we think we got it.
Yeah. You did.
You did.
Yeah. You done good, boys. You done good.
We done did it to him. So I remember whenever we wrote that and we gave it to Brian, he was so excited. And so for those of you who don't care about spoilers, the couple finds themselves in a room full of oxygen tanks. Go figure. And whenever they go in, Hazel attacks them, and Hazel. Our favorite joke, I think, that we actually have in there, it's really subtle. It's whenever the girlfriend is like, babe, come save me. She's trying to act like a damsel in distress. And then he's like, I'll never, his nose is already busted at this point. He's like, I'll never forget you, because he can't talk. And he's just running away. And she's like, Roger, you giant asshole. That to us cracked us up so much whenever.
Oh yeah, I definitely appreciated that. The guy was like, I'm this big bad tough guy. I'm going to protect my girl, and we're going to have sex over here. And all right, that's it. I'm out.
Yeah. But yeah, what cracked us up though was when she called him by his name instead of his gamer tag, as we like to say it. But yeah, so it was always just little stuff like that cracked us up about everything. But we were so happy with how Grandma turned out. And then the other character that not a lot of people asked us about because it was just such a small little nuance. It was in issue 1 whenever the hand was reaching up from underneath the bed right before they find the body of the elbows off the table. That was actually the first introduction of the doll maker. So that was something that we were really happy with the doll maker, how that turned out, and how, because again, we didn't give Brian any indication on what to draw. He just did it. So,
well, it worked well.
That's
definitely creepy.
That's the definition of letting your artist take liberties. That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, how the doll maker turned out, man, was just so cool. And that's one of the characters that we would love to give like a little spinoff to, just because we fell in love with that character.
Yeah, and just to catch Anthony up. So one of the questions I asked while you were away was, so how do I separate myself from Capes on the Couch and create my own podcast? No, I'm kidding. What I asked was what other characters, since we were talking so much about Horus, what other characters seem like they could be possible spinoffs, and they didn't disappoint. They made it very clear, and it should be obvious to anyone that reads any of their work that they take their craft seriously. I mean, they have a lot of fun doing it, but just the fact that each character that you get introduced to, even the one-offs, to be honest, only because like in theory, if there were enough interest, like, there's something behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And just really, really allows someone to just get a little immersive, which also is key to any horror situation. Just the fact that it's one thing to see random violent things happen. It's another to say, I'm invested in the fact that these people are all in serious trouble.
Yeah.
So...
And that was the thing too that we also talked about, and we thought we were taking a risk, and we're happy to hear that you guys liked it, because we ultimately wanted to try and, what's the word I'm looking for? We wanted to try to Hannibal Lecter Hazel, because in Silence of the Lambs, what's the thing everyone remembers, right? They remember Hannibal Lecter. He's only on screen for like 10 minutes.
Great point.
I think realistically, it's like a 2-hour movie. Anthony Hopkins is on screen for maybe 20 minutes total in the whole movie. And we wanted to do that with Hazel. We wanted her to be we wanted to use her sparingly, but use her right. And that's how we felt like with this issue, because like I said, we got afraid that maybe we didn't do it right, because maybe we just let her go a little too much, if that makes sense, right? Like we didn't, she's only in like the last like 6 pages, but we have so much planned for her that it's crazy what all we have ready for her.
Yeah, it's
because she really gets the shine in 3 and 4, of course.
Well, what I was going to say is characters like that, I really do appreciate, because they're so well established and so clearly defined that they don't need a lot of time, but their presence impacts everything around them.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, and I say this as a giant kaiju fan, it's like certain Godzilla movies. Now, you can definitely have too little Godzilla in a movie, and you can absolutely have too much. But I think a good mixture allows the human characters to interact around what happens with the monsters. Because if you don't have any human characters whatsoever, then it becomes, well, now you've just got these giant monsters kicking the crap out of each other, which looks cool. Don't get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong. It's rad.
I absolutely enjoy some of those 70s films. And there was a lot of pushback against, I guess, King of the Monsters, because they were saying, oh, there's too much monster fighting. I'm like, no,
that's
absolutely not.
No, it's as long
versus like Godzilla 14, which I thought had too little Godzilla, and then we were focused way too much on the human characters, especially after they killed off Bryan Cranston. I'm not going to get into that. That was a mistake, but whatever. but Godzilla as a presence, you can't have him be in the entire film, because then it just becomes, you don't have any scope, or you don't have any scale for what the impact is, but you can definitely have too little. So you have to find that balance. And I think with a character like Grandma Chainsaw, she's there, she's there, and then every other character has to deal with what's happening around them, much like a Jason Voorhees or a Freddy Krueger, a character that, well, I would say more Jason. Freddy, because of the nature of who
Freddy,
he is. Freddy.
Yeah, Freddy is much more the puppet master of everything. So it's really overarching. You can't do anything without him, as opposed to people with limited, it's hard to describe, but basically limited range, but ever present.
Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Shape.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
Yeah.
You don't need, Michael Myers doesn't need to be in every frame of a Halloween movie for it to be a suspenseful, action-packed movie. You just need to know that at any point he can show
He's
up.
there. Right. And that's
he's
what we're
there, he's
do.
around, and his presence and the characters are reacting to his presence. Even when he's not around, the characters should all be on screen saying, "Where's Poochie? I mean, where's stuff?"
Well, I mean, basically all of this is, by the way, because I know at some point, at some time, we said this was based on psychology and psychiatry. All of this is how people are dealing with trauma responses.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. How are people dealing with acute stress, and what do they do in those moments? And sometimes it can be incredibly funny if taken in a certain context, and other times it's purely a matter of I'm going to just cry my eyes out, and I'm going to run, or I'm going to fight. That's, fight, flight, or freeze. That's it.
Yep.
Very well said. So while we were talking, I ended up going on and I backed the Horus Kickstarter literally while we were talking, because this is the first time I've been at my computer to do anything in probably about close to 2 weeks. So you're welcome.
Thank you. This is what's crazy is, so Pocus Hocus number 4, we ended with 272 backers. It's the last 48 hours of the campaign, and anyone that runs Kickstarter will be able to tell you this. So it's the last 48 hours. That's what makes everything for you. Like, that's like, it's the first 48, last 48. And this has just been insane, just how this thing has turned out.
That's incredible.
Yeah. It's so crazy. It's crazy to think like this could be our first 300 backer campaign.
That's awesome. And again, you guys deserve all of the accolades, all of the success that you're getting, because you have just continued to build and grow and grow and build. And it really is, just a lot of fun to be a show that you come back to all the time, and to have to text back and forth with you, and to get those things. Hey, check out this Dropbox. These pages just dropped. Like, we're getting, not to like spoil too much or to brag, whatever, but I mean, Alan sends me finished artwork that doesn't have text on it. He's like, these pages just came in today.
Yep. I do that.
And it's just really cool to be in that close with a creator and a creative team to be able to get this kind of exclusive stuff. And then for us to turn around and say to our listeners, like, hey, this is really awesome. Check this out. Like, we're not saying this just because we're trying to like blow up, like, oh, we're trying to like blow smoke up your ass or anything. Yeah. We're saying this because we're legitimately fans of it. And we're like, hey, we're really invested in this. We're really behind this. And at this point, like, whatever you guys put out, we're there. I don't care what it is. I don't care what genre it is. I don't care what style it is. I don't care what the art looks like. If I know that Alan and Will are writing a book, I'm buying it. And I'll buy copies. I'll buy like a variant cover and, a hollow foil like I got for the Horus one, because, I'm that type of person. So, and I got a keychain add on and whatever. Yeah. So, I'm like, I am there. Like, there are certain writers, and I really appreciate just, again, doing this show and being able to present this stuff to our fans to be able to say, hey, these are creators that you should check out their work, and we're not just blowing smoke up their ass because we're interviewing them. We're telling you this because they're legitimately awesome. I mean, there's a reason why we've had you back on 7 times. There's a reason why we've talked to Erica Schultz 5 times. There's a reason why, we've talked to Jeremy Whitley twice. Like, there's a reason why we promote certain creators. And it's not just because, we want the access so they keep coming back. It's because put out.
You genuinely believe in what we're doing. And like, that means more than you guys will ever know. And, we do put so much into these books, and it just sucks because there's not enough hours in the day for everything that we already want to do and the stuff that we're talking about doing. Like I mentioned before, we have Deacon Dan's famous chili that we're, no pun intended, that we're cooking up. We have one Sunday afternoon, our detective story. And then, we even have another title that we're going to be working on with Kit Wallace coming up soon too. He's in it with us now, so it's kind of cool to like see our team growing, and everyone's just gets along, and everyone's fans of each other. Like Brian is as much a fan as Kid is a fan of Brian. So it's just kind of cool just to see how everyone interacts with each other, and just to kind of see what everyone brings to the table. So it's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, to be in, from issue 2, it's just really cool to see how y'all have grown. And again, you guys are people that will break the hiatus for.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was like, how do I record this again? What's that thing? It's been a while. It's been a hot minute.
So for anybody in the know, especially our Patreon people, I am always late to these. This is the first time where I'm like, all right, you know what? He reminded me. I'm ready. I'm all there. I have, I have the chat up, and then he's going to be late. Like, you gotta be kidding me. I made a concerted effort for the first time to actually do something relevant. Oh, wait. I'm telling on myself way too much here. But no, really, seriously, this is the type of thing that I think people need to appreciate also just within the medium, because let's be honest, Twitter can be a bit of a hellscape if you start to get the background on other creators in the mainstream and what's going on with them and all these other things. It's just nice to be able to talk to a few people that clearly have the right motivations for what they're doing and are just trying to continue to do things in a way that promotes their growth, as well as just a wonderful environment to interact with everybody else. So, Alan and Will definitely foster that. And that's something that I wish more people did, really.
Yeah, we see that a lot, especially like it's crazy how many independent creators are out there, but it's wild at how small that circle actually seems.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows each other and all this stuff, and our whole philosophy and how we approach everything, we just lay low, and we just keep our heads down, and we just try to make just fun, weird that we hope that you've never read or seen before. And we keep outdoing ourselves and outdoing your expectations for what you want to see from us.
Yeah. So, no pressure. Just don't make anything terrible.
Hey, we're trying.
Otherwise,
we're trying.
Otherwise, you're going to be persona non grata on this show, and we'll never have you on again. So,
dude, you know what's wild?
No pressure or anything. Just don't f up.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks, Dad. Okay. So I do need to also get ready to leave as well. But the thing that's crazy to think about is this is our 8th full book now. It's just kind of wild. In the last 2 years since you guys have known us, this is our 8th book that we've put out. Let that marinate.
Yeah, that. My goodness.
Yeah, we've had Pocus 1 through 5, Grandma 1 and 2, and then now Horus number 1.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Looking forward, as always, to the next time.
Yeah, definitely.
There will be a next time.
So, and now this is, if you guys have made it this long in the episode, it's probably we're on hour 3 now. So if you guys have made it this long, it's always the what's next, right? So we're going to do once Horus number 1's done, we've already started working on Horus 2. The script for Grandma 3 is done. Now we're kind of breaking I don't want to call it our promise, but kind of what we planned on doing. And the next thing we initially planned on doing after Horus was Pocus 6. However, Pocus Hocus number 1 is going to be available in comic book shops in the next couple months. So we do need to take a little bit of a Kickstarter hiatus for Pocus Hocus because we have to focus on the retail aspect of it, because it could be mixed messaging if we're doing Pocus 6 and it's like, hey, you can buy Pocus in the shop or you can just buy it off Kickstarter. We want to make sure, it's a very streamlined, like, hey, granted, the covers are going to be different because you're going to have your shop exclusive cover versus your Kickstarter exclusive cover. But we obviously need this to do well in the shop, so all of our focus can be there so we can keep putting them out into the world, which is kind of crazy to think about. So I think we're going to be hitting previews very soon. So you'll be able to have your pre-order code and everything. And, I'll be sharing that with you guys as soon as we have it so we can, really kind of champion this book. And hopefully we get people out there and we keep being able to make this thing and put Pocus in everyone's hands that don't maybe get on Kickstarter and just like to buy in a shop.
Yep. Well, I will definitely be ordering another copy through my local comic shop just to add to the pull list.
Yeah, Brian and Jason, man, because as of right now, it's Pocus 1 through 4. It's the first arc that's slated to come out. And the 4 new covers that they did are gorgeous. I'm not saying that the covers they haven't done before are great, but they understood the assignment. They knew that this is a little bit of a different ball game, right?
Sweet.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see it. Looking forward to that. So, Alan, you said you got to get going. Real quick, where can folks find you on the internet and social media and your newsletter and all that?
Yeah, best thing to do, obviously, follow us on Kickstarter for all of our crazy, stupid ideas. And the newsletter option, we are at thetophatstudios.substack.com. That's a good way just to see kind of what we're up to. We promise we won't blow your email up. We only send stuff out if we feel like, hey, we got some cool artwork to share, or hey, this is what's coming up, or if we have any sort of, if we feel like what would potentially be a setback or just exciting news to share. We always like to open and honest communication. I think that's key to everything, especially when you're trying to grow your brand and your fan base too. They want to know that, hey, if something's going to take a little longer to get to me, these guys are still going to deliver and they're just going to let us know ahead of time.
Yeah, definitely. So as always, it's a pleasure talking to you and Will as well. We'll have links to everything in the show notes. We're going to get this episode out fairly quickly because when does the Kickstarter end?
It ends, hang on. So it's saying we end on the 7th at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so I will get this out. We're recording this on a Tuesday. I am not going to be able to edit this by the usual Wednesday, but maybe I'll drop this before this weekend, just so we get at least, like about a week or so of release before the Kickstarter ends. Because I want to make sure that folks hear this and go, oh, wow, Capes is still doing stuff. And Alan and Will are back and they got another Kickstarter. All right,
actually, dude, I don't know why you do this. People are probably like, oh, God, Alan and Will's back. They don't even listen.
And listen, if that's the case, if people go, Alan and Will are back, I'm going to skip this one. Well, then that's on them. That's their, that's their prerogative.
Yeah, the point is we enjoy it. And it's our damn podcast.
That's right. That's right. And I enjoy it. And it's my own free time.
Hell yes.
But
as much free time as you have now that you're a married man.
Yeah, right. And about to start a new job and everything. So it's just, it's a lot right now. But again, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. And I know I speak for Will as well. We would not be here without you guys. And, we love you to death. So thank you guys for everything.
Right back at you.
Yep.
So for Doc Issues, Alan Dunford, I'm Anthony Sitko. Thanks for listening. We're still on hiatus, but we'll see you soon.
Capes on the Couch podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Dr. Issues is a psychiatrist, but he is not your psychiatrist and does not have knowledge of your individual situation. For any personal mental health concerns, please consult your own healthcare providers. For medical emergencies, please call 911 or the designated number in your area immediately. Remember that you are not alone and help is out there.